Good morning, everyone. Is that better? I keep forgetting that I'm much shorter than most people. I'm Linda Mowers, BBUC Worship Chair, and I'm so happy to be your worship leader this morning. I'm pleased to welcome a familiar face as our guest musician today, and Garret Kaplan, who is an accomplished pianist, composer, and record producer, is our familiar face this morning. I invite you to find out more about Garret in your order of service, and we're delighted to have him with us again. His first selection this morning is The Mysterious Barricades by François Couperin, and he will play a second selection after Joys and Concerns, which he will introduce. So I invite you to the piano. Thank you so much, Garret. That was beautiful. Our opening words, there's Jennifer with the opening words with me, are by Arlen Goff and from the publication Thresholds.
Thresholds, we cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age.
Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, and from what we were and what we are to what we can be.
In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities.
How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of our beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls, come, let us worship together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our time for all ages, Beth is on her last Sunday of vacation this month, and she'll return next Sunday. She has left us a terrific story for today's Time for All Ages. So that will come from me today. And this week, many of our children and youth are starting something new, I believe. New classes, new teachers, maybe even new friends. And whenever something changes, whenever something is new, it's normal to feel a little nervous, a little different, or even a little unsure of where you fit. So with this in mind, today, we're going to be reading a story called The Day You Began, written by Jacqueline Woodson and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it'll be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. And there will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela. Your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller, when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer?" Tell the class your story. We went to France, Chalice says. These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile that they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books that you kept on reading long after she'd fallen asleep. And in that room where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and the kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. And there will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of, and all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as still and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister. You tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. And with that, the story ends. You know, we all have moments when we feel like we don't quite fit in, but when you share your story, even just a smile, It helps others get to know you, and that's the first step of making friends. And if you feel brave and ready this week already, that's wonderful. You might be able to help someone else feel welcome. A kind word or small hello can make a big difference for someone who's still finding their place. At this time, I would like to invite Christina Altes, our board secretary, to come forward to light our chalice as I share these words with you entitled Liminal Time by Summer El-Bayati. In betwixt and in between, we move in the liminal spaces that show shades of what can become, what can be. We light this chalice as a symbol of courage to move into that time of this and that, and not this and not that, with patience and faith and love and hope that this time will pass, like the sun that moves in between rising and setting, reminding us that beauty resounds in betwixt and in between. Thank you, Christina. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join me in the call to worship. The words are in your order of service and also on our screen. Thank you. Here at BBUC, we practice theological hospitality and we welcome all people of goodwill to the life of our congregation. Since Unitarian Universalists don't have a creed or dogma, what holds us together as a community is covenant, the promises we make to one another about who we'll be as a faith community and how we'll be in relationship with one another as we practice our values. The covenant we created together in our congregation is printed in your order of service and also on the screen, and I invite you to join me in speaking the words in unison. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. We recognize that there will be times when we will fall short of these ideals. We will be accountable to each other and forgiving to each other. So I shall say good morning again and welcome to Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, or as we call it more simply, BBUUC, because it's a mouthful. I'm so happy to serve as your worship leader this morning, and when I think of the society that we live in today, we live in such challenging times. There's so much division. People can't see or hear one another. 400 years ago, David Ferenc, or Francis David in English, a founder of Unitarianism in the 16th century, said these words: "We need not think alike to love alike." In these challenging and divisive times, no words could be more important. Unitarian Universalism is a unique religious tradition. We have no shared creed. We have many different beliefs. Yet, we are united by our shared values, created through a democratic process as our association of congregations evolved and continues to evolve. These values can be found on the back of your order of service. We are welcoming and open. We value diversity. We celebrate the wisdom found in the world's religions and draw from science, reason, nature, philosophy, personal experience, and the gifts of spirit to understand life's meaning and mystery. That's why we call Unitarian Universalism a living tradition. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in another. Here you can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, and your expansive heart. We believe we should express our faith through acts of compassion and justice. Our kids are encouraged to ask questions and think and express themselves. We nurture truth-seeking and spirituality and progressive moral values that will continue to shape and support us from childhood through all the stages of our lives. What we do with our beliefs is important. It's how we walk our talk and make our faith real. Let me take a swallow of water here. I would like to give a special welcome to those here today who may be guests or newcomers. We're so glad that you're here, and we hope that you'll stay with us for fellowship after the service. You'll find beverages and snacks at the pass-through windows in the back of the sanctuary. Lots of goodies. Be sure to wear your name tag so that we can warmly welcome you and greet you by name. It's a great time for meeting friends and for sharing conversation. Please stop by our welcome table at the entryway if you haven't done so already. And there you can find information on our church and on our denomination. We have regularly scheduled Learn About UU and Learn About BBUC classes that alternate each month on the third Sunday after church. If you have any questions, please ask any of our members, and if they can't help you directly, then they can find someone who will. Get to know us here, and we hope you'll find that our beloved community is a home for you as well. We want to ensure that everyone here knows that we are equipped with a hearing assistance system. If you wish to use one, please ask for a receiver at the welcome table, or you can use your own device and tune in to the channel our system operates on, 106.1. If you're unfamiliar with this kind of equipment, we'll be glad to assist you. We also have large print hymnals and order of service sheets for those who are vision impaired, which you can request at the welcome table. Now I invite you to turn to hymn number 83 in your hymnal, or you will find the words on the screen and I'd like to invite our song leaders to come forward and help lead us in our hymn number 83, Winds Be Still. It's a beautiful hymn, and it calls us to look inward even as we look far outward. I'll ask Gary to play it through once, and then we'll join the song leaders in singing all three verses.
I usually don't talk before I perform, but I wanted to mention that this piece that I wrote is actually dedicated to all of you here at BBUUC, because I believe this might be my second year performing here. I don't really recall, but I've been performing for a while, and it's always just a joy, and I wanted to write a piece that kind of talks about these joys and concerns that we all have in our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Garret. That was quite an honor to have you write that for us. When Unitarian Universalists pass the plate on Sunday to every hand present, whether you place a financial gift in it or not, it's an act of saying who we are and what we believe in. It's a ritual we use not only to transform the world, but to transform ourselves. And that's why every person at the service is invited to be a part of it. What happens with the money that is collected is another expression of who we are. The funds are not spirited away to a higher governing body. Decisions about how the money is spent are made locally and democratically by this congregation. When the collection is split for philanthropic purposes, as it's the practice of many congregations and communities, the decision of which organization we share with reflects our beliefs and values. As a ritual that's part of a UU service, the offering is a time for us to commit to come together to become a part of something greater than ourselves. It's a moment of transformation, interconnection, and UU identity. Ted Clispy and Jean Spinney and Jean Spinney will now come forward to accept the offering. At the conclusion of the offering, we will rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. May your gifts help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our walls. We dedicate these gifts to the values and the vision that we share. sermon today comes from UU Interfaith Community Minister Reverend Devorah Kelley of New Hampshire, and you can find out more about her in your order of service. It's being presented by our own Jennifer Bacmeister, a member of BBUC since 2001, who has worn many hats in her 24 years here and is a valued member of our worship team. She writes and delivers her own sermons and also brings voice to some of these terrific sermons from UU ministers that we're fortunate to share in our Lele congregation. You can also find out more about Jennifer in the order of service, or come and meet her after the service if you haven't already. And you'll find her to be spirited, funny, smart, and one of the most capable and can-do folks that I know. Jennifer, the pulpit is yours.
I'm coming here more often. You're going to talk that nice about me. Our sermon starts this morning. So, what is liminal space, and why am I talking about it? I'll get to the what in a minute, but here's a brief answer to the why. Because each threshold we encounter in our lives offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation from what we were and what we are to what we can be. How many of you are familiar with the term liminal space? Pretty good. How about threshold? Yeah, everybody knows that word. The word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. The word threshold originally comes from the reeds or rushes, called thresh, that were thrown on the floors of simple dwellings in early times. A piece of wood would be installed in the doorway to keep the thresh from falling out of an open door, thus threshold. Modern definitions of threshold include the means or place of entry, the place or point of beginning, and the point or level at which a physical or mental effect begins to be produced. To be in a liminal space means to be on the precipice of something new, but not quite there yet. You can be in a liminal space physically, emotionally, or metaphorically. Being in a liminal space can be incredibly uncomfortable for some people. We are often in liminal space without even being aware of it. Dawn and dusk are liminal states between night and day. Airplanes are liminal spaces, as are stairwells and elevators and escalators. And of course, there is no way to get from one room to another without going across the threshold. Think of that early morning time when you float between sleeping and waking. Images from your dreams merge with the reality of your day-to-day life. At times, the fluid, extraordinary or extraordinary experiences of dream life become superimposed upon the structure of waking life. Until that moment, your brain fully awakens, and you are back into the structure and routine of life as you know it. This is an example of liminal space. And here's another one, this time from nature. Consider the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. Inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar goes through a profound transformation. It dissolves into a liquid state, undergoing a complete reorganization of its cellular structure before emerging as a magnificent butterfly. In this liminal space, the caterpillar experiences uncertainty, darkness, and confinement, yet it is precisely within this cocoon that its transformation and ultimate beauty take shape. People's stories about turning points in their life can often, but not always, but often involve a disruptive event. There is a moment where the old rules and ways of being are no longer tenable, and ultimately a shift happens that changes the course of a person's life. The disruptive event shifts one into a liminal space where transformation can happen. Often, liminal space can feel like walking without a path. You don't have a map. You wander about aimlessly, looking for that next stone to put your weight on, but it's not there yet. Doubt creeps in. The fear of the unknown comes knocking on your door once again. Even though you've made the big leap, perhaps off of a virtual cliff, this liminal space can feel even more scary when it's part of a really big decision, a huge leap of faith, especially when the decision is about leaving the known job, the known security, the known friends, the known life, even, or maybe especially, when to remain just doesn't feel right. And where the next step is uncertain, the path forward is not always clear. Now think of when you made the decision to move to a new place, maybe even a new country, part-time or permanently, and what it took to actually do that. For some of you, it was an easy transition between what was and what would be. For others, maybe not so easy. Our reasons may have varied, but there was a moment, or maybe more than a moment, when we were in the in-between time, neither in familiar territory nor yet in our new reality, like you were traveling in an airplane. Then came 2020, and we all know what happened then. COVID appeared and disrupted life as we knew it. Did you realize, though, that you'd entered liminal space? Well, I hadn't thought of it that way. Looking back, that's exactly where I was. And then in March of 2021, someone on Facebook mentioned Mexico. And my guidance was so strong, the voice louder than ever. And I knew what I needed to do, but leave my children and youngest grandson? Leave my friends of many years? Leave my UU church that I'd been part of for 30 years? Leave life as I knew it to go to a place where I knew no one except 2 women on Facebook who'd taken that leap before me? Kim Bushore-Maki, founder of Shakti in the Mountains in Tennessee, says this: use the liminal space to move toward what you want rather than to avoid what you cannot change. So I've learned that it's okay when I feel like I don't know exactly where my path is taking me. To be honest, it can actually be quite exhilarating. I can take a deep breath and trust that I am where I need to be, and that when I listen deeply enough, the right answers will come. Here's another time in my life when I took a leap of faith that led to living in the uncertainty of liminal space. In 1972, I had been teaching special education at the junior high level in Massachusetts for 2 years and decided I needed and wanted to go to grad school in early childhood development to have more of a handle on typical childhood development. I applied to both the University of New Hampshire and the University of Rhode Island. I just knew it was the right thing to do, so I took that leap of faith. I resigned from my job before I had heard from either of them. For about 2 weeks, I was in that liminal space of not here, but not there yet. I was, as my opening words suggest, on the threshold for change, huge change for renewal, on the threshold from what I was, a teacher with a secure job, to what I could be, a graduate student. A scary place. Yet I'd followed my inner guidance, knowing that this step was exactly what I needed to do. And then came the relief. I'd done what my intuition had been telling me, and I went to the University of Rhode Island, and I met my future husband at the first graduate student happy hour. So here's the thing about inner guidance, what I've always called heart whispers, those little flutters of inner knowing, sometimes a gut instinct, that make you feel truly aligned and living in your purpose. It takes practice, but dang, when the messages come through and line up clearer than you could have imagined, it proves that you can trust yourself and trust your own guidance. So it's not my head I listen to, but my heart. It doesn't speak with a loud voice. It's soft and subtle. Liminal space is about sitting in this soft and subtle time the time of the unknown to just be. Be without an answer. Be with your heart so you can listen to the whispers and let go of expectations of when you will have the answer. By now, you have seen that liminal space is a place of transition, a place where you finally let go of that treasured trapeze bar and you find yourself free-falling and hope that grace that has carried you this far will still be there as you sail through the air with no safety net and no alternate trapeze bar swinging to meet you. I'll leave you with that image for a moment as we listen to some meditative music from Gary and a reading.
This reading is by Brenda King, a modern-day medicine woman. She says, I often think of liminal space and transformation much like a trapeze act. You can't move to the next way of being until you let go of your present self. But in order to do so, there's a period of being between. It takes a leap of faith and sometimes trust in a safety net to let go and grab for the next thing. It is in that moment of suspension between realities or between truths that is sacred. It is a state of truly being with a capital B. There are smaller moments in our lives that also provide an experience of liminal space. The act of waiting rather than reacting can allow old patterns and ways of being to fall away as we consciously choose to act in a new way. In doing so, we let the old world fall apart, and a new world is possible.
Reverend Kelley continues her sermon. As Unitarian Universalists, we can recognize that liminal space is a natural part of the human experience. Rather than fearing the unknown, we can approach it with openness, curiosity, and compassion. In these sacred thresholds, we can find transformative power, both individually and collectively. To navigate liminal space, we must cultivate practices that ground us and nurture our souls. Meditation, prayer, reflective journaling, and engaging in intentional dialogue with others can guide us through the labyrinth of uncertainty. These practices help us listen to the whispers of the divine and connect with the wisdom that resides within us, those heart whispers. Writer and former pastor Felicia Murrell describes the inherent uncertainty of transition this way. In the radiance of dark, there is process. The unfolding of mystery, things words cannot articulate, a threshold to freedom the mind cannot comprehend. But the body feels it, the heart knows. This is liminality. The threshold of transition from birth to life, from evening to morn, from gestation to death. The unknown is a part of all of it. And from a translation of the Bible in contemporary English, Luke 23 and 24. May the disorientation of life and events, the liminal space we find ourselves in, be a place where our faith is built. Franciscan friar and ecumenical teacher Father Richard Rohr describes this place most vividly. Liminal spaces, therefore, are a unique spiritual position where human beings hate to be, but where the biblical God is always leading them. It is when you have left the tried and true, but have not yet been able to replace it with anything else. Liminal space transforms us when we are attentive to the presence of God in times of change. Liminal space is a very good phrase for those sacred times, events, and places that open us up to the sacred. These are more of his thoughts on liminal space. The vulnerability and openness of liminal space, where we are betwixt and between, in transition, allows room for something genuinely new to happen. It is a graced time, but it often does not feel graced in any way. In such a space, we are not certain or in control. We are empty and receptive, blank tablets waiting for new words. Liminal space is where we are most teachable. Most often, it's because it's where we are most humble. It should come as no surprise, then, that we generally avoid liminal space. Yet much of the work of authentic spirituality and human development is to get people into liminal space and to keep them there long enough that they can learn something essential and new. Nicole Connor, a narrative therapist in Australia, says this about the experience of being in liminal space. Liminal spaces expose the unnerving reality that we are really not in control in the way we think we are. Liminal spaces confront us with our innate craving for certainty. Liminal spaces show us that ambiguity and paradox are part of what it means to be human and of the journey with the divine. It is not in the knowing that grace shines. So can liminal space be a catalyst for spiritual awakening? Perhaps yes. All we need to consciously spend time is at the thresholds of our lives. Liminality is a form of holding the tension between one space and the other. It is in these transitional moments of our lives that authentic transformation can happen. Otherwise, it is just business as usual and an eternally boring status quo existence. It is in these moments of uncertainty that we are invited to trust the process, to have faith in the unseen, and to listen to the whispers of our heart. Over time, I've seen the need for such liminal spaces again and again. Without some sort of guidance and reframing, we don't understand the necessary ebb and flow of life, the ascents and descents, and the need to embrace our tears and our fears as well as our successes and triumphs. Without standing on the threshold for much longer than we're comfortable, we won't be able to see beyond ourselves to the broader and more inclusive world that lies beyond us. Liminal spaces provide a resting place between what was and what is yet to be. It's a place and a time of great potential if we allow ourselves to have faith that we are where we need to be. And back to the image of free falling from the trapeze bar, maybe faith and trust can be our safety net when we find ourselves in that place of uncertainty about what our future holds. And as we navigate the liminal spaces in our own lives, let us remember that they are not moments of weakness, but rather sacred thresholds of transformation. They are invitations to step into the unknown and embrace the vast potential that lies within each of us. May we have the courage to let go of what no longer serves us, to surrender to the mystery, and to emerge from these transitional spaces as beings of greater wisdom, strength, and love. So my hope is that we view this time as an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, that we can embrace the time spent in liminal space, both individually and collectively, with open hearts, open minds, and a steadfast commitment to justice, love, and compassion. We just might transform ourselves and our fellowship. May it be so.
Our closing hymn today is number 347. We also have the words on the screen. Gather the Spirit. This should be a familiar tune. I'd like to invite our song leaders up to lead us in this hymn, and we're going to sing all 3 verses.
Thank you.
Thank goodness we have hymnals for backup when we have a technical disaster. I'd like to invite Christina to come back up forward to the chalice to extinguish it as we hear these words. In conclusion, let us embrace the liminal spaces in our lives with open hearts and minds. Let us trust that discomfort and uncertainty we may encounter are part of a divine process of growth and transformation. Remember, it is in the cocoon of liminal space that we have the opportunity to discover our true selves and unfold our wings to fly. May each of us embark on this sacred journey with courage, grace, and a deep sense of trust. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.